The next stop will be University City Boulevard Station.
Welcome to University City's podcast, where we discuss all things University City. This podcast is brought to you by the City of Charlotte, Truist Foundation, and University City Partners. It's recorded at the beautiful office space of One University Place by the lake here in University City. Hello, this is Keith Stanley with University City Partners. We are here recording our podcast. We're so excited about this and how we're focusing and specifically focusing on small businesses. We're really glad to have some strong partners. We have the City of Charlotte, Truist Foundation, and our University City Partners team. In addition, we're recording here by the lake at One University Place. So we thank Crescent Communities and those who allowed us to record right here in this beautiful space. Today, I am joined by a very special guest who I got a chance to meet several times and working with, and she has a unique small business here in University City. I'm going to let her introduce herself and tell her story. Carolyn, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Carolyn Dowdy, and I'm with Caregiver Mental Wellness, and we're a 501c3 not charitable nonprofit. And so what we focus on is the unpaid family caregiver. Typically, they're unpaid. So and the reason that we started this is about 2017. We had a farm. My husband, we retired, living the life. And then I walked out of the living room, walked back, and he's having a massive stroke. And so that ignited me at that point. So the first year as a family caregiver, I had to struggle, and I didn't even know I was a caregiver because 50% of family caregivers do not realize or label themselves that. And so I found out when I started doing my research, trying to help myself, trying to help my husband, that I was a family caregiver. And I also found out about caregiver burnout. So I started on a mission for about 3 years. I did a lot of research. I took classes at the college, and I found out all about, from Cleveland Clinic, Mayo Clinic, about caregiver burnout. And so over that period of time, I established a routine and a program to sustain my mental wellness. And so we're all about, in the beginning of a caregiver's journey, to start doing practices and incorporate it in your daily life.
Let's talk about that, Carolyn. You say mental wellness.
Right.
You know, I can only imagine there's burnout, there's frustration, quite frankly, there's pain and suffering as you not only try to take care of a loved one, you're trying to take care of yourself. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. Caregivers, a lot of times, they will smile at you every day, put their mask on, and you ask them how they are in the workplace or wherever they're going. Their adult children may ask them, and they'll say, "Oh, I'm doing pretty good." And they really may not be because, for example, to give you an example, when people lose their spouse, they've lost their spouse overnight. Then they take over their life. They're their protector. My situation was my husband hated our farm. I loved our farm, so we had to leave because he couldn't read, he couldn't write, he couldn't do anything maintenance before. And so these caregivers, if they get into the point of burnout, they feel they're exhausted, they're tired, they get where they may not even care about themselves or the care recipient. So where we get into a problem is as the caregiver's health declines, the care recipient's care deteriorates. So this directly affects our most vulnerable. It could be our disabled husband, our aging parent, our disabled vet, our people with dementia, Alzheimer's, and the gamut of people go on and on. And so if your caregiver is irritated and gets stressed, then they're not going to be as patient with their care recipient. So it's very, very important that we sustain them and help them.
What is your organization's role when it comes to this process? How do you support the caregiver and the recipient?
Okay, what we do is it's a group. We're not counselors. We're not health care providers. We give information to help them sustain or foster their wellness and well-being. And so what we do, it's sort of our three main objectives in our nonprofit. Number one is we have educational program, and we go out to groups and we talk to family caregivers about how to sustain their wellness from the beginning of their journey. And this is family caregivers, not our paid healthcare workers. And then the second thing we do is we take every opportunity to go out to any group and talk to families and the general public about how important it is to keep up with that family caregiver, especially like if it was your parents and say your mom's taking care of your dad and you call your mom because you're really busy and say, well, how are you, Mom? I'm doing pretty good. They will cover up, but they may be tired themselves. They may be getting an exhaustion, and they may cover up because they don't want people coming in and taking over their life. And so it's important to be proactive, and what I mean by that is call Mom, get your other sibling or friend and say, hey, Mom, I'm going to keep Dad. You go out and have a day in the park. You go out with your friends. You go to your faith-based organization. Try to keep them in their regular routine, because once they lose their life and purpose, that's all about caregiving, they get really down. The third thing that we do is I was in HR over 16 years and in training over 25 years. And I was a banker and helped start banks in Atlanta. And so because of my 16 years as a caregiver and over 16 years in HR, I wrote a program from all my research that tells businesses how to implement caregiver-friendly work environments. And so we help the caregiver because 73% of our caregivers are in the U.S. workforce. And that's part-time or full-time, all the caregivers. So our companies are wondering why we have mental health issues, and they're really going after it. But we need to put in friendly environments. We need to have it in HR training where employees know to be sympathetic with these family caregivers if they need to be off, not be mad at them. We need to train the supervisors to have understanding of the caregiver's challenges and struggles, because Dr. Fuller, in the Caring Report, he's a Harvard professor, he stated that if companies don't start putting in caring companies by 2030, they're going to lose their top talent, and they're going to have a hard time retaining and attracting, because the women are the ones getting the higher education now, and they're the 60% of our family caregivers. So there's a tsunami coming with our social caregiving, because 73 million baby boomers are aging. We do not have enough young people being born to take care of them. Plus, we have 1 in every 36 child age 8 that has some form of autism. So our parents, especially the sandwich generation, they are really suffering because their parents may have had them late in life. And so they're trying to manage parents, they're trying to manage their children, their family life, their work, and they tend to put themselves last. So our main message is prioritize yourself without guilt and ask for help, because people are glad to help you. And we have to get through to them, because they don't have it in their awareness. They're a caregiver, a lot of them, and they tend to put themselves last, and they need to put themselves as a priority where they can be here for all their loved ones.
You shared your story earlier about your experience in dealing with your husband. Very powerful story. What else would you say pushes you to do this work? Is there anything else? I just feel that it's such a powerful story. Is it the work with the people that you see out in the community? Is it, you mentioned about the 60% of the women. What pushes you to continue to do this work, to engage and help those caregivers?
It's difficult to understand, but I had a burden on my heart that would not let up. Because at my age, I wasn't looking forward to starting another company. But the burden over that 5 years kept being there, and I couldn't get rid of the burden. So I can't tell you where that burden came from, but I can tell you that I have the strength, and I'm sitting here now, and I have a disabled husband. I run everything in our life. I coordinate everything for him, and I'm running a nonprofit. Wow. And I'm healthy.
I just say, as a person who runs a nonprofit, I know that is some work.
Yeah, so you have to have a passion, and you have to have something. And I do my self-care. I put it on my calendar. So what I encourage in my part of our training is take that calendar, decide what's important to you, and get it on the calendar, and prioritize exercise if the doctor says it's okay. meditation. Meditation is one of the main things I do to de-stress. I did it before I came here. I do it before I go to bed at night. We actually have free meditation for caregivers on our website. We even have a golf theme for men.
Get away.
Yes, because, they tend to, I'm not doing all that foo-foo stuff.
Yep.
But it's a golf one, and they can sit there during their lunch, 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing that you have these services and resources. So then, I know we got to wrap this up. So a couple more questions. One, how do people find you? How do people get access to this information in your organization?
Just go to info@caregivermentalwellness.com and send us a message if you would like us to come speak to your staff or your nonprofit, or I'm speaking at assisted livings. So we're trying to get our message out to whoever reaches the family caregivers. They have access to them. That's where we're trying to go.
Kelly, I'm going to throw you a curveball here. We're sitting right next to the beautiful lake here in University City. I know you spent some time here in University City. Do you have a vision for our community, University City, and how we're operating? Is there anything that you would say that I am looking forward to? We've been talking about lately about our library coming online. And next year, we've got a number now as far as economic development, including the Vanguard group coming to our area. Even I would say, because you attended our small business networking, the work that we're doing in our small business arena, what's your vision, or what gets you excited about University City?
It's a city within a city, and to me, you're going to grow. I was listening to that at the other meeting, and if you grow, you've got to have healthy employees. And so if you bring together, if I had a one, I would say Family Wellness Center, and have every access of every source where they could go to one place. You could do your first responders. They're suffering, especially policemen. Policemen are committing more suicide than they are getting killed on the job. We got teachers stressed. So we could have all kinds of wellness programs, including the family, because most families are family caregivers, even if they have children, and they're still family caregivers in some sense of the word. So that would be if I had a one, but also I'd like to have a huge awareness program of what a family caregiver is. And I have a whole list of things that we could do and ideas, but we don't have time.
But I want to say, I really do appreciate your insights on our officers, our men and women in blue, and our teachers. We've made it a point through the Small Business Initiative. For our teachers, we gave them, at Newell Elementary, gave them massages. So they could just get away and de-stress towards the end of the year. And then for our officers, we went to Boardwalk Billy's, Zapata's Mexican restaurant, and there's another one I'm missing, but we went to 3 different restaurants and gave out gift cards, Chick-fil-A. Shout out to Chick-fil-A, Boardwalk Billy's, and Zapata's. And so listen, just take you and the missus, you and the hubby, go out, you and the significant other, go out and enjoy yourself, because we understand that stress that you talked about. You talked about the suicide rates. We know that many of our civil surgeons, specifically our police department, and even our teachers, they're under a lot of stress. So I love that, and I appreciate that. How do people find you?
If they want to send us an email, info@caregivermentalwellness.com. If they just want to go look at our website and see the free access to services for family caregivers, it's caregivermentalwellness.com.
Say those 2 things again, the email and the website.
The website is caregivermentalwellness.com. We have free services, 17-point action plan for family caregivers, and free meditation. And then info@caregivermentalwellness.com. If you want to send us a message, you want us to speak to your Rotary, JC, civic groups, any group, we go talk about the importance of supporting your family caregiver.
Carolyn, thank you for this insightful conversation. I encourage all the people who are listening or watching us on our platforms to really check out the organization. Those numbers are high as far as the people who are caregivers, and it looks like it's only do anything but grow as we look at our aging population across this country. Carolyn, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the University City Partners Podcast. We are a city within a city. Follow us on social media.